Today we're working with 5.1 inverse functions. I'm just going to do a few examples from this section for you. We're going to find the inverse of these examples. You should first make sure you have a one-to-one function before finding the inverse. I've already made sure I have got one-to-one functions before we get started. Okay, so the first step is to change f of x to y. The second step is you swap x and y. So wherever you see a y, you're going to put an x. And wherever you see an x, you're going to put a y. And the last step is just solve for y. So you might be given different types of equations, but we've learned how to solve different types of equations. So just solve for y. So I'm going to get y by itself here. I'll subtract the 10. And then divide by -2. Okay, and then the last step is just mark your y, replace it back with the f inverse of x. Okay, and you found your inverse. Feel free to simplify it further if you want to. You can leave it like this, but we can divide both of these two terms by -2 if we want to make it look a little bit nicer. So that would be a -1/2 x, and then -10 divided by -2 is a +5. So we'll try just a couple more. Part B, I've got f of x equals 5x minus 15. Okay, so again, I'm going to replace my f of x with a y. And then I'm going to swap my x and my y. And then solve for y. So in this case, I need to add the 15 first. And then divide both sides by 5. Okay, and again, I'm going to go ahead and just simplify it a little bit further. You're able to leave it like this. Just make sure you label it the inverse. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and simplify it. So I'm going to divide both of the two terms by 5. So I've got 1/5 x plus 3 equals the inverse. Okay, I'd like to do one more example just so I can change it up a little bit. Part C, they gave me g of x equals 1/x cubed minus 1. Okay, well, it's okay if they label it something different. It's just the name of the function. Okay, so g of x in this case, but we're going to start with the same steps. I'm going to change that g of x to y. And then we need to swap our x and our y. And we need to solve for y. Well, y is in the denominator. So I'm going to cancel out the denominator by multiplying both sides by y cubed minus 1. That way I'll bring it up to the top. Okay, so that's going to give me x times y cubed minus 1 equals 1. We're solving for y, so you might want to distribute, but that's not going to get you the result that you want. Okay, so I'm going to divide both sides by x. That way we can see, okay, now all we need to do is add 1. And then to get rid of the cube, we're going to take the cube root. And that's going to get y by itself, okay? So then we can label it as, in this case, we had a g. So we'll say g inverse of x equals the cube root of 1 over x plus 1. Okay, so check out the homework. I did put the definition of a one-to-one function in your notes, so check that out and let me know if you have any questions.